Well, this is Baruch Fleischman here. We're at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and this is our shiur today. We're starting two shiurim today, one after the other, regards to Rosh Hashanah. So this is for Tiva Kavanos, and we're going to get it opened up. Take a look at what the next part of this is. The first shiur that we're doing here is in regards to the Nesira. Now, my problem is that I'm not making good marks, so I'm not 100% sure where I'm supposed to be. And 1 second while I not waste anybody's time and I find us. So I found the place here on page Kuf Lamed Vav, and we're on number Nun Vav, and we're reading the Rav at the top, and then we're going to pick up right away on the Tiva Gavanos. Now, in the Nukva now, she has two different aspects of Gavura that are coming to her. One is that when during the time of the Nesira, Ima brought the Mochin or the Gavuros directly into the Nukva. High Gavuros Chazakot. So these are very strong, powerful Gavuros. The Kifim and punishments, which are potential punishments that are very strong. The second one is what she receives from Zer Anpin, after he awoke from his sleep, that is when the Mochin left him, which happens during the Kidei Shofar, and Gavuros, Mumutakos, Mubusamos Yoser, and these are sweeter than it. Now let's come over here to number Nun Vov down here at the bottom of the page, and it says like this. He said, Makol ha'amor, from everything that we said about before, that we went through the process of how there's actually three stages, he mentions two here, of the Gavuras coming into the Nook. One through Zer Anpin, through the hole in the wall of his back. The other one is directly after the Tardema, when the Mochin of the left side of Zer, that are inside the left side of Ima, then come into the Nook directly. And the third one is they come back in, the Mochin all come back into Zer Anpin. So there are two aspects that we want to focus on. He said, parts of Ima is what she received from the parts of Ima at the time of the deep sleep of Zeranpin. These are the really strongest Gavuros, Vidinim, Tekifim, and he multiplies this word, is a really bad punishment. Ima is the root of Gavuros. Dinim is Armen, from her the Dinim are awakened. So he said, that the second, there's another Bechina that we want to talk about as the Nook is being built. After Zal reawakens from his deep sleep, to keep to get a shofar. So how does this happen? It happens as a result of the blowing of the shofar. So then what happens is now the Nook, who has gone through in the Nesira and is actually in the front of Zeranpin, but originally just a little dot. I don't know if he's going to say this here or if he's going to say it later. He said, "B'menu Gavuras Memutakos more sweeter, but Busamos and perfume Yosef and Machmas Zivug Abba Ve'ima, because this happens as a result of the yichud that takes place between Abba Ve'ima as a result of the Mayim Nukvin of the Mochin of the right side of Zeranpin, which is the Mochin of Chochma and the Chesad V'das, which really remain on top of Zeranpin's head. But what happens is that this goes back into an aspect of Ima, and it winds up producing a yichud because it's Mayim Nukvin. Anything shefa that's coming from the bottom to the top will produce, in its purity, shefa coming back down. So that through this yichud that takes place, and it brings a new kind of mochin. These are called mochin deponim. The mochin that come to the face of Zer Anpin and transfer that way. Vayin od b'shefa kavanos. There's more to be said in the shefa kavanos. Now, so just begging your pardon, because I have seen this before, but the last time I saw it was, I think, in 2016. So it's been a little water under the bridge, and now it's all new to me. So as Gam Nimsa, so we also find like this, Ki Malshin the Nasi B'Mende B'Yom Rishon the Rosh Hashanah, that what was removed from the Nukva on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, who min akaser ad siyam at the perishable. Now we said this previously is from the kaser. These are the mocha. Now imagine that you have 10 spheros that run from the kaser all the way down to malchus, which is at the feet. So he says from the kaser to the trunk of the body, that's what takes place on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. And then what is removed from her, who hakeser shabal bilvad is really, I think he meant Mashin and Nasser. Well, anyway, we'll just read it on. He says, Umashin and Nasser b'menu hu hakeser shabal bilvad. So the only thing that is actually removed is her keser. The Gavar noticed, I'm not sure what that meant. We'll see. Ki Leah omedes lamala mekeser Rachel. So let's talk about Rachel. Rachel is actually being fed her keser. This is what I didn't explain. Now, so he's going to explain it now, and so will I. He said that actually the head of Rachel, who is the Ikaris Abayis, is actually standing at the shoulders of Zeranpin, or not the shoulders, but the chest. So she's really in the upper half of Zeranpin. She's not there. Who's there? Leah is there. So Rachel is down below. And that's the reason why all the shefa from up above her is going to wind up going into her kesef. The nimsiki parts of Leah Kula, Vagam Hakester the Rachel. So this is what he's actually saying. The entire Leah, that is all the Gavuros that would go in the top part, because it seems to me that I would look at it like this, is that the way that the Rav has been focusing is he wants to focus on what happens to the Kesser of Leah, which is at the Chaz of Zeranpin, what exactly happens to it. And now he's bringing in that on top of Leah, there's this up invisible unto this point, which is not really invisible, but outside of her focus, is her sister, Leah, who is from the Chaz el Lamala, going upwards. That part, and also the Kesser of Rachel, is the part that is surgically removed on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. The Nasr b'Yom Zeh, that is what is removed on this day. V'gam l'sibazu, and also for this reason, he said, Nikra Yom Zera b'dinika shekanoida. This is the reason why it's called a very severe din. Ki b'chinas Leah heim dinim dekivim, because Leah represents dinim dekivim. But the Rachel dinim rafi. But the dinim that are going to go to Rachel ultimately are going to be the weaker dinim, the dinim that are not so punishing. Let's start over here on number Nun Tes, which carries over here onto this next page, which is page Kuf Lamed Zion. And we'll pick up the Tiva Gavanas. Let me see if I got it straight and right. He says, he named parts of Zer Anpin is Chalak L'Shtei Cholokim. So we have the parts of the Zer Anpin, which is divided into two portions. Achedaka Elyon, the first upper part, Nimsa Bo Spheres Kachbad Chagat. So remember, Chachbad means the whole head. Keser Chochma, Bina, and Das, which is Machriya between Chochma and Bina. And then Chagat, which is really the upper arms, or the part of the body of Zeranpin that runs from the chest up through the shoulders, which is called Chesed Gedavur Teferes, which we pronounce Chagat. So then there's another half. So that's considered to be one half of Zeranpin. The other hand, Nimsoim both spheres nai. That's where you find the nai of Zeranpin. Of Yom Rishon, the Rosh Hashanah, the Nasrim called Chadinim, Bagaburos, Shebechetze Elna the Zer Anpin. So what happens is on the first day of Rosh Hashanah are removed all of the dinim and all of the Gavuros that come along with the dinim. Shebechetze Elna the Zer Anpin in the upper half. Now this is called the upper half. It may not be anatomically. That's what something you have to think about. Anatomically, exactly where the upper half of a human being is, because it'd be closer to the in between the belly button and the chest itself. But in this case, he wants to call it half and half. So he says, until you get to the end of Teferes, the nickname the Banuk. And then when he means the siyum of Teferes, he means of Teferes, he means the siyum of the upper half. All of that goes to the Nuk. Now the lower half of the body of Teferes is the nine. So let's go on. Call Osem Agavur Shebechetze Elni de Zer Anpin. So all of those Gavuros which are in the upper half of Zer Anpin. Nitnu Besoch Spheres Kasser the Nuk. All of that goes into the Kasser the Nuk. She'omedes keneged achrech teferes dezah, who is standing at the back of Zer Anpin, at his chazer going downwards. So therefore, that's the focus point of where everything is going. All of the mochin that were in the dinim that were in Leah, and all of the dinim that were from the Kachbad Chagat of Zer Anpin are all going to this one focus point, which is at the Chazer of Zer Anpin and going downward. Now, number Samach Aleph, it says like this: V'noida, ki parts of Zer Anpin, yesh lo shtei partzufim shene'amadim ba'achrav. So there are two partzufim that are really on his back, not just one. He has two wives. V'heim parts of Leah she'omedet b'chetzia elyon. This is Leah, who's from the Chaz of Lamala. The parts of Rachel she'omedet b'chetzia the she's in the lower half, which is the 9. The Seder Cholukas Kachu. So this is the way, the division of what goes to Leah, what goes to Rachel, what goes in the upper half, what goes in the lower half. So it begins from the das of Zer Anpin. Where is the das of Zer Anpin? Well, it has an extension, goes all the way down to the chest. The Hainu Ba'achrei Ha'oref, that is on the back of Zer Anpin, on the back side of the neck of Zer Anpin, B'tzot Kesher Shel Tefillin, which is also aligned with and the secret of the knot of the tefillin. And this particular partzuf, which is actually the partzuf of Leah, stops at the end of the upper third of Zer Anpin. So, in other words, he's been calling it a half, he's been calling it a third, but let's understand that he means the same thing. So there's one area between the Chaz of Lamala, there's another area from the Chaz of Lamata. Rachel begins at the lower 2/3 of Zer Anpin, and ends at the end where his feet come to the ground. It comes out like this: that after the back of Zer Anpin, that is, say ba'achre Zer Anpin, ondim shtei partzufim. There are two partzufim there. They cover his backside from, as he said, from the place that the knot of the tefillin normally go, all the way down to the feet. The Hainus Siyam Ragle Leah B'Kesed the Rachel. That is the end of the Ragleim of Leah. They come also and touch, actually they go into the Kesed of Rachel. So understand this, that the feet of Leah are up above the head of Rachel, which is her Kesed. So he says, Mekaven should be Yom Rishon the Rosh Hashanah, that since the first day of Rosh Hashanah, that you have this removal of the Gevuros that are in the upper half of Zer Anpin, when they come from the Keser until you see that they come to the end of Teferis. Nimsiki parts of Leah omedet das the Zer Anpin, so it comes like this, that the parts of Leah which is standing from the das of Zer Anpin ad shlisha elyon the Teferis until you get to the end of the upper third. The parts of Rachel, then looking at the Kesed of Rachel also goes into Menes Atzel Shtei Shlishim Tachton the Kesed Zav, which is let me see, I had it. So he says, which that's a misprint I have a mark on here from before. Kesed the parts of Rachel, Menes Atzel Shtei Shlishim Tachton the Teferes Zav. That's where she is. He says Kulam Nenasu B'Yom Zeh. So her Keser, which is standing at the cause of Zer Anpin, and all of Leah are Nenasir. So then let's move on and let's see a little bit more. We're going down to number Samach Dalet at least. So let's see what it says. So let's understand that the root, the real depth of the Nesira takes place in the first day. That's a Leah. And it's really involved with Leah Shehiba Bechinas Dinim Tikifim. That Leah, and it's not, we have no foundation for this, for why Leah would be Dinim Tikifim, but he says that Leah really represents Dinim Tikifim. So therefore, she's involved in the first day of Rosh Hashanah. So your kavanah is that when you're going through the Nesira that's taking place, you're talking about in the first day, Leah. Shahare Omedes Bechetzea Elyon the Zer Anpin, because she's in the upper half of Zer Anpin. Shesham Nimsach Shefa Chasazim Deima, that's where you find the Shefa, which is still which is closed up in Ima. Now, what does that mean? Because at the Chazad of Zer Anpin, there's an opening in the Yisod of Ima, which is in the Das of Zer Anpin. And when it's open, that means that there's a lot going to flow out. So over here in the upper part, whatever's coming out of that area is not going to be so strong. That is the shefa of the upper dimension, which is Ima, is not going to be immediately available to the nukva. It has to go through the walls of the Yisod of Ima. It has to go through the walls of Zer Anpin and then come to the nukva who's on the other side. So this nukva that we're talking about is really Leah, because Leah's up in that top part. So this is another reason why the first day of Rosh Hashanah is considered to be a tough din. I'm the Biyom Sheni, but on the second day, Naasis and Nesira Etzel Rachel, the Nesira doesn't deal with Leah anymore, who is the strict dinim. He says that Etzel Rachel Shehi Bechinas Dinirafi, which is a concept of a weaker din. The Visha Omedet Bechetzer Hatachtam, because she's standing at the lower part of Zer Anpin, which corresponds to the Nai Zer Anpin, the Netzachot Yisod Zer Anpin, Shesham Nimtzach HaShevach HaMegula De'ima, because this is where, as I said before, there's an opening at the bottom of the Yisod of Ima, and the Shefa comes out of that. That Shefa is located at the Chazat of Zer Anpin, and it's all part of the same picture. And this is Baruch Fleischman, and this is well, today is the 24th day of Elul. You can just appreciate what we're holding, and I wish everyone to have a wonderful day. Call to.